Hey guys, Paradoxio here. Welcome back to another video. As my channel has grown over the years, I want to compile a list of my top 5 favorite programming languages and why I enjoy using them. I will be ranking these languages mainly based on usage and how I have personally used these languages throughout the years I've been programming. I'll also be listing some pros and cons about these languages. If any of these languages are also your favorites, let me know in the comments and be sure to tell me why. At spot number 5, we have C++. C++ is a middle-level language, basically meaning just as close to the hardware as also being far from it. Basically, C++ has a lot of attributes commonly shared among high-level languages like object-oriented programming, abstraction, and more, while also utilizing direct memory management with the use of pointers, allocating, deallocating, etc. The reason I put this language at number 5 is mainly because I'm still learning it. C++ is one of those languages that can take a long time to get good at, and there is a lot of concepts from C++ that I still have yet to learn. And maybe this language will take a higher spot later on down the line in the future when I learn more of it. My pros about this language is the amount of things you can really do with it. Things like game and system development, designing fast and efficient algorithms, and its rich standard library. My cons about this language, though, are that it's quite hard to learn, or maybe that's just a skill issue on my part. Who really knows? I do, however, wish it was easier to read, but I'm sure I'll get used to it at some point. But even then, I do enjoy C++ quite a bit. Now, at spot number 4, we have TypeScript. Now, whether or not you really consider TypeScript or even JavaScript a programming language rather than a scripting language really does not matter when it comes down to genuinely how nice TypeScript really is. It's like if TypeScript was sent down from the heavens to remove the suffering from those who were forced to program in JavaScript. The reason why I put TypeScript at spot number 4 is the same reason why I put C++ at spot number 5. It's mainly because I'm still learning it, especially with React applications. TypeScript is usually used in web applications with React, building Discord bots, and more. Some pros about TypeScript are that it supports optional static typing, something I personally really appreciate in a programming language. And this is also something that's not present in JavaScript, which is a reason why TypeScript, in my opinion, is better than JavaScript. It has more features to object-oriented programming like access modifiers, and it's overall easier to maintain compared to JavaScript. I honestly don't have much to criticize the language for, and that could also be at fault that my main experience in it just consists of console applications in React. But if there's anything you feel that TypeScript can be criticized for, or if you feel that there's more pros than what I listed, be sure to let me know in the comments. At spot number 3, we have one of my favorite languages, and that is PHP. Now, I know that PHP is a scripting language and not a programming language, and I know that it's for the backend or server side, but I wanted to include this language in my video because I've honestly grown to really like PHP. Like, even on my channel and community's official website, houseofcode.xyz, it uses PHP for the backend. And it's just really an awesome language for quickly and easily displaying data queried from a database onto the client side. It's also really good for managing sessions or cookies for logins. And it's also very good for protecting sensitive data with built-in cybersecurity functions And there is a whole lot more that I can go on about why the PHP language is actually really good and underrated, but I could spend an entire video talking about it. Some pros about PHP are that it's very easy to use for basic web application processes, like handling logins and account creation, file uploads, and more. Some cons, however, are that the language is quite outdated, slow, and that the language is slowly being phased out by developers using things like Node.js for their backend development. However, I do believe that PHP is still a really good language for website development, and if you need a quick way of developing an efficient backend, PHP will be your best friend. At spot number 2, we have C#. Now, C# is the first C-based language I have learned, and that may pertain to why I'm placing this at number 2. It could be a bias on my part, forgive me if that's what it sounds like. But it is the first C-based language I have learned, and I have experienced with it for a couple of years now. I placed this language at spot number 2 because of its very easy to understand structure and syntax. Another great thing about C# is the amount of things you can really do with this language, like website development through ASP.NET, mobile app development, game development through Unity, console applications, Windows applications through Windows Forms, and so much more. This language has a lot of potential for those who want to start a new project. I highly recommend it. Some pros about this language is that it really has a lot to offer for almost any project you can think of or imagine. And another pro is that it has a lot of access modifiers for object-oriented programming. It also has garbage collection for automatic memory management. So if you don't really like the direct or manual memory management in languages like C or C++, C# does all of that for you. Another pro is also the human readable syntax. Some cons, however, is just how intimidating the language can be for new programmers. The language is huge. I mean very, very huge. It has over 100 keywords for crying out loud. And just naming the data types barely scratches the surface. Even myself with 2 years of experience in and outside of college with C#, I am still actively learning new concepts through every project I make. All in all though, C# is a really great language, and I highly recommend those to get into it. At spot number 1, we have, you guessed it, Python. It probably is not very surprising that Python is number 1 on my list if you have watched my channel for a while. I mean, it's like 90% of my videos are based on Python. It's just an overall wonderful language that you can do just about anything you want in, from game development through Pygame, developing Discord bots, website development and API development through Flask and Django, and more. It is also the perfect first language for kids to learn who are interested in coding, whereas a lot of elementary and middle schools use it for a quote-unquote coding club, as they call it, as well as a starter for those who are interested in advancing more throughout school and into college for computer science. Speaking of that, Python is also a very good first language in adults, as well as it can be used to teach very important concepts of computer science, like data types, data structures, as well as algorithms, object-oriented programming, and more. Some pros of this language include its really easy to read syntax. In fact, Python is considered the closest syntax to pseudocoding. It's also a pro that it has dynamic typing, and this, it can be good or bad depending on the context, but generally, in my opinion, dynamic typing is really good for those who are newbies to programming. It's also very easy to install, easy to navigate its documentations, and overall amounts of adventures you can take with this language. Some cons, however, are that it can be quite slow during certain things, whereas a language like C or C++ may be quicker at. And by certain things, I mean just about anything that may involve an algorithm, for an example. Now, we have some time for an honorable mention, which I have chose Java. Now, Java is a lot like C#. In fact, C#, as it was being developed, was made to really mimic Java, or it was made to essentially look a lot like Java. And, well, because of that, they both look very similar in syntax and structure. So Java, just like C#, is really easy to understand. And honestly, if I had room, I would have slapped it at spot number 2 or 3. Something noteworthy about Java is that it's highly used and demanded in the workplace. So if you're trying to secure an internship, if you are a computer science student, or if you're a graduate who's struggling to find a job, and you haven't already, I would definitely learn Java. It's something that's really demanded, and it's a skill that is still, honestly, even today, really needed in the industry of software engineering and website development. We have used Java for all sorts of things, like programming your coffee machines, programming your own car that you drive to and from work or school, all the way to creating one of the most popular, fun, and sold games of all time, Minecraft. That's it for today's video, guys. If you have enjoyed it, let me know your top 5 in the comments. And if you want a similar video to this, like maybe a least favorite programming language series or list, be sure to tell me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join my Discord, as well as creating yourself an account on my official website. Links will be in the description. With that all out of the way, you guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye, y'all.